My name is Bond.
James Bond.
Shaken, not stunned.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
I'm now aiming precisely at your groin.
That's not funny, 007.
For England, James? No.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Enter the BondVerse. I'm one of your hosts, Nathan. I'm joined by my co-host, equal host in every right, amazingly talented YouTube editor extraordinaire. Say hello, Kyle.
Equal host, eh? Are you editing this one?
He is the superior host.
Thank you.
Superior host. So, we are here looking at the 1979 film For Your Eyes Only, not Moonraker.
That's right, yeah, they managed to get squeezed one more in before the 80s, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, we are in fact looking at the 1981 movie For Your Eyes Only. There is no Moonraker. This is the direct sequel to The Spy Who Loved Me in all respects.
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard of Star Wars.
Moon.
Yeah,
Went
no.
to space.
We certainly didn't go to the moon in the last film.
Didn't go to the moon, that's true.
No.
You orbited the moon, I think.
There was a space station.
Yeah.
There was a space station.
Anyway,
and it was
we're in our
guns.
third decade of Bond. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it, frankly, Kyle, because we're cutting through these one a week. You know?
It's been almost 20 years since Dr. No at this point.
Wouldn't it be really funny if we only done an episode of this podcast with the frequency in which the films came out? So we would do...
I don't know the math on that, but we would be, 70 by the time we finish this podcast?
Yeah, so we'd have done Dr. No earlier last year, and then
and now we'd just be getting to From Russia with Love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we would just be getting to From Russia with Love. But actually, to be fair, we'd be doing one a year for a couple of years, you know, and then we'd take a year gap.
Yeah, the first year would be one a year, but then by the time we get into the most recent Bond, Craig, it would be 6 years between episodes.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Well, Kyle, we know that this, as you know, much spoken about, is part of the 120 years of continuity.
Yeah, this is the same Bond, for sure.
Because we go to the film starts at the grave of one Teresa Tracy Bond.
Indeed.
With the inscription, we have all the time in the world.
Morbid.
Bit morbid. It's what he says to her when she's bleeding out, dying in his arms, you know?
Exactly, yes, morbid. Yeah, and doing the math on that, she's been dead for a decade at this point. She's been dead for far longer than Bond actually knew her.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he still mourns her greatly.
Mm-hmm. Even though he's changed faces twice since then. Yeah.
It was true love, Kyle.
It was true love.
And he's never even looked at another woman the same way.
I mean, sure, yeah.
I know he hasn't.
But anyway, yes. So Bond, he gets picked. A priest comes up and tells him that his boss is expecting him. I don't know who this priest is. There's a lot of emphasis placed on this priest at the early moments where I was oh, is this going to be a twist? But no, it's just some priest.
It's just some priest. It doesn't matter. But
there's a moment where it's he's getting into the helicopter and oh, it's sinister because the priest is doing the blessings thing.
Yep.
On his chest, and there's a lingering shot on. It's oh, is that priest knows Bond's about to be murdered?
Maybe he does.
Maybe he does.
Or maybe he just thinks that Bond works in a life of sin and is just praying for him before he goes off into his next mission. You know?
His work at Universal Exports, yeah.
Yeah, famous Bond frontage company, Universal Exports, yeah. So
is that our first mention of Universal Exports?
No, I think they were in the Connery films.
I don't remember it, but okay.
Maybe I've just got false memories from watching the newer movies yet to come earlier in my life, but I'm sure Universal Exports has been around in this franchise prior to this.
I feel like we haven't brought it up before. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't think we brought it up before either, but yeah, we should note this is the government front for MI6. Yeah. This is, your car rental agencies. This is I'm a private businessman on a business trip. Who do you work for? I work for Universal Exports, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But he's getting picked up by a guy in a helicopter, Kyle, and no sooner are we in the sky over a graveyard, we're at some fucking shipping container place with big big chimneys for factories and industry, Kyle.
Call of Duty level. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the helicopter pilot is electrocuted and is dead.
Uh-huh.
And then
And then some mysterious figure starts talking over the radio.
We hear the voice of fucking Count Dracula or something. Because he
I hope you are having a nice flight, Bond. Yeah.
You are now flying no control airways.
And yeah, we see lingering shots of this strange bald man in a neck brace, and he has a cat, but who could it possibly be?
He's in a wheelchair, you know? He's got this big control panel, and he's in the one-piece grey suit, you know?
I'm going to say right now, this is the most batshit cold open of any of these movies so far.
Oh, yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, this is the pettiest of Bond openings.
Oh my god, yeah.
Kyle, why don't you talk us through what the hell is going on here based on your research?
So, based on my limited understanding, what happened here is this was during the time of all of the rights issues with Spectre and Blofeld and all of this, because, yeah, this, in case it wasn't extremely obvious, this is supposed to be Blofeld, even though we don't see his face, we never see his name, hear his name.
Yep.
It's just like some evil man. But yeah, the basic idea is there was a debate over the rights of who could use Blofeld, and at this point they were currently making, like, Never Say Never Again, because that's how that movie came into
That came out in 1983,
existence.
yeah.
Yeah, that movie was at least in pre-production at this point. Like, they knew they were making it. And so basically, the Broccolis, I believe it was,
Albert.
which of the Broccolis was it?
Cubby Broccoli.
Yeah,
He's the main broccoli.
Yeah, it was Cubby Broccoli who said, oh, well, fuck you, we don't need Blofeld anyway. And so added this scene to the movie where they quickly murder Blofeld in a really stupid and pointless way.
It's very petty. But listen, I'd love it.
But it's so funny also when he scoops him up with the helicopter with his wheelchair and he's like, no, oh no.
He's like, Bond, please, I'll make a deal with you. I'm very powerful.
Bond pats him on his head. Yeah.
Yeah, Bond puts his hand out the window and gives a little pat in the head, yeah. He tells Blofeld to keep his hair on. He says, keep your hair on,
you
pats
had a
him on the
pleasant
head.
fright.
Oh, yeah, goodbye, Mr. Bond. I hope you had a pleasant fright. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
But then, yeah, Bond takes him up to like a smokestack and gently tilts the helicopter so he just sort of falls off into the smokestack.
He just gently falls.
It's
with
so funny.
scream. Yeah, and the camera sort of follows him down the smokestack into the like opening of the music for the film, you know?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the rest of the movie at all.
No, this is purely like anti-Blofeld propaganda, frankly. And considering we haven't seen Blofeld in what
10 years?
10 years
since
at this
Diamonds
point.
Are Forever. Yeah.
Yes, that was 71 or something, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it has been exactly a decade because this is 81. So are people still talking about Blofeld? He's not been in any of the Moore films at all. You know,
no, I think most people probably assumed he just died at the end of Diamonds Are Forever.
That would make sense, you know?
Yeah.
But no.
But no, he actually dies when Bond dumps him into a smokestack.
And this is the definitive death of Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
Oh, I love it. I love how petty he is. I love it so much.
Well, why don't we talk about the opening of this film, Kyle, after our cold open? We have Sheena Easton's For Your Eyes Only is the song. First time the musician has ever appeared in the opening of a Bond film, Kyle?
I know, it's strange.
Yeah,
it's not very common. It just becomes a music video for a little bit.
Yeah, but not the last, Kyle. Not the last.
Not the last, no. This song's okay. My personal preference, I prefer the Bond songs that have a bit more energy to them, you know?
Yeah, I think
this is another slow-paced one.
I think this is probably the least memorable Bond song ever, actually.
I think it's more memorable than Moonraker.
Kind of, but that's got Shirley Bassey doing a lot of like name recognition work for that.
I suppose. I also still cannot remember how The Spy Who Loved Me went, so...
Oh, it was Nobody Does It Better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Carly Simon. Well, listen, we should talk about Sheena Easton very briefly, Kyle. Sheena Easton is a good Scottish woman from Bells Hill, just outside Glasgow.
Very good.
She's from the Schemes, one of us. Before she got big in America, she was very big here. Now, Kyle, we might, because listen, no disrespect to Sheena Easton, not our generation.
Yes.
However, we do recognise this person, Kyle.
Oh, do we?
Sheena Easton, in the current day and for the last, couple of decades, has lived in Nevada, in the west coast of the US, right?
Okay.
And she occasionally does some voice acting roles now on television.
Oh.
And the most recent role we would probably recognise her for is playing Dr. Doofenshmirtz's girlfriend in Phineas and Ferb.
Okay, to be clear, is this his girlfriend or his ex-wife?
I'm pretty sure on her Wikipedia it said girlfriend.
Okay. I don't know if I remember Doofenshmirtz's girlfriend. I remember his ex-wife.
Maybe it is his ex-wife then, but it's definitely a love interest of Doofenshmirtz.
Well, that's wonderful.
That is wonderful, right? See, when I saw it, I thought Kyle's going to love this. Let's have a look here. Doofenshmirtz's girlfriend, voice episode, Chez Platypus. Yeah. Also featured in Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster as Fiona Pembroke.
There's a time when Scooby-Doo the gang fought the Loch Ness Monster.
It's a film, yeah, it's a good one. I have it on
Okay.
DVD somewhere.
Anyway, Nathan, we're talking about James Bond.
Sorry, I want to talk more about Sheena Easton and her filmography.
Because now we get the actual opening of the movie, which is a fishing boat.
Yes, a fishing boat with a secret government base underneath it. Ooh.
Yes, very
Right,
strange.
Yeah, I don't really know how
I
it
guess
works.
this is another, international waters thing. I don't know.
Yeah, presumably.
But it's a very weird government. It's, okay, what do they say? It's like the place where they could launch all the nukes, or they can track all the nukes.
It's some
I don't
sort
know.
of base that can be used to communicate with nuclear submarines to give them launch instructions.
Right, yes. And for some reason, people who, when they clock in on their shift in this place, they have to handcuff themselves to their desk.
Yes, so they're committed to the job and can't be forced away from it for anything. I think actually, it's pretty weird for us as audience members. Within the language of the film, I can just accept it as being like, oh god, they're really dedicated to make sure no one leaves their fucking post,
I suppose, yeah. I mean, yeah, also, they're expected to instantly hit the self-destruct button if they're ever attacked.
Yes, they are.
So,
And the
you gotta
Brofils-
get some pretty freaking loyal guys for this base.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's British patriotism, Kyle. If only you believed harder in the British promise,
Right,
You
yeah.
would understand that these people are true patriots and they go down with the ship.
I mean, this movie has so much respect for our wonderful Prime Minister, that's for sure.
Oh, it does. And we'll talk about it, I'm sure. I love it. I stood and applauded. Now, this ship is doing despite being a government front ship, is also just doing fishing.
Well, yeah, they have to have a front, right? So if anyone sees them on satellites and stuff, there's just, they're just some fishermen,
Yeah, I suppose so. But Kyle, they get a big catch, don't they?
Oh boy, do they! A big comical sea mine.
A big comical World War II sea mine. Yeah, and it blows a heck of a hole in the side of this
I
ship.
don't know if those things are actually. It's just every time I see those, I think of the dude in Hot Fuzz who has a sea mine in his.
Yeah.
garage.
He's filching Harry Potter and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He speaks really, really thick, the Yorkshire accent, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's what sea mines look like, yeah.
I know. It's just, for some reason, something about them just is comical to me.
Yeah. Well, the ship, it gets hit, has a big hole in it, and is going down fast.
Uh-huh.
Do we cut to England first, or do we cut to Moscow first? Because in my notes, I go from F this ship to dramatic Moscow skyline, because we get a very dramatic cut to Moscow.
Yeah, we cut to Moscow first. Who we should establish that we have a recurring character here in Moscow at this point.
Yes, we do. We have General and Anatol Gogol.
Something like that, yeah. He's been
I
in
have it
it
noted
since
down.
The Spy Who Loved Me. He was
Yes, he has.
Triple X's boss.
Yes, he was, and it's the same set, except there's no picture
It's
of
the
Lennon.
same set, yeah.
Yeah.
The weird, weirdly open and empty desk in the middle of the room. It's very strange.
It's like an old stone castle he lives in.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get the impression that he is behind this. So much for that new era of Anglo-Soviet cooperation.
By the way, I did read into this actor's filmography, taking these notes, and he's also in From Russia with Love, but he's not playing the same character. But he's some Soviet general guy back then as well. So they must see him as James Bond's Russian guy we need,
Yeah. He's Russian M, basically.
He's Russian M, yeah.
which is a shame because we don't have an M this week.
No, we do not. This is the first film to not feature M.
Bernard Lee.
The tragic passing of Bernard Lee not too long after making Moonraker. He was going to be in this, but when he passed, they decided to just let M sit this film out, which is why we get the upstepping of the Secretary of Defence, Frederick Gray, who has been in previous films as well, and we also get Tanner taking some sort of management position. Now, Tanner has been ruined for me from the Brosnan and Craig era, where he's just M's lackey. So hearing him order Bond around is just bizarre to me. Because I can't picture him ordering Daniel Craig around, because Daniel Craig would just kill him.
I think this is his first introduction also, right? This movie, I don't remember seeing him before.
Possibly. I feel like maybe he has been in the earlier ones and we've just sort of shrugged him.
Anyway, also I'm realising before we actually get to that, we do get a family getting gunned down on a boat.
Yes,
so
we do. We do near Crete. Yes, we do, a family yacht.
Yeah.
People have been shot on their private yacht and their daughter surviving. I'm sure this is relevant. This becomes our Bond girl for the film. What's her name? Melina or something?
Melina Havelock is her name.
There we go. Havelock's a good name.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a silly sleep with me Bond name, you know.
Anyway, we don't have Bond on top of a woman or anything this time. He just sort of walks into the office. Actually, no, there is a fun scene where Moneypenny in one of her drawers has a full makeup kit and a fold-out mirror and everything.
Yes, she does. I think quite believable.
Sure, it's just like, has that always been there, Moneypenny?
Probably, I could believe it.
But yeah,
it's like a mirror show.
She's touching up her makeup, and we see in the background the good old, he throws the hat on the thing in the mirror.
He throws his hat on the hat stand, yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while since the old throw on the hat stand.
Yeah, it has been a little while. And, you know, it's quite fun how this kicks in, because we get told that, you know, Bond will be briefed by the Minister of Defence and the Chief of Staff. You know,
M's on leave
M's on leave, yeah. And because M's not there, Moneypenny gets given a rose by Bond, or flower of some sort, doesn't she? Yeah, seeing as M's not here, yeah, you know. I think that the Moore era has lacked a lot of office bants.
Yes, I agree. And it was nice to have some office bants here.
Absolutely. Would be nice had we had Bernard Lee, but we can accept that this is the best as we're going to get going forward, at least for now. As I noted earlier, this is the same Minister of Defence we've had for a few films now.
Yes, the one who I believe has seen Bond have sex at the end of the movie twice in a row.
Yes, This is Sir Frederick Gray. He must be really in a safe seat because, you know, we're now in the era of Thatcher, so he would have been part of the last Labour government as well. Don't know how the hell he's staying in good graces, you know?
Well, you know, he has all those connections with foreign billionaires that he plays checkers with or whatever, so...
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he must be like a turncoat in the party scene, though. He must not be very popular in Parliament, you know?
No, I can't imagine so.
No, or maybe he sits in the House of Lords, hence the Sir, you know? Maybe he's actually not an MP, you know?
It's entirely possible,
Entirely possible. Well, I have a side tangent here.
Uh-huh.
Jeffrey Keane is named the actor who plays Sir Frederick Gray. And he's in a film between Moonraker and For Your Eyes Only called Licensed to Love and Kill, which is a spoof of James Bond. And he plays the M character in that film.
I see, okay.
So you see that there was I think he was called Charles Bin or something like that. Was there James Bond?
All our really highbrow stuff then.
Yeah, Charles Bin.
Uh-huh.
So there seems to be some sort of Bond spoof that is just completely spoofy that had nothing to do with the Bond IP that was running concurrently.
Not a spoof that has lasted the test of time because I've never heard of it before.
No, Licensed to Love and Kill, you know?
Uh-huh.
Which is just fun considering we will be getting Licensed to Kill at some point in this watch along.
Indeed.
And this is where we find out the ship that sunk had a communicating device to talk to British ballistic missile submarines.
Yes.
This is in that briefing.
So yeah, Bond, he has two missions. He has to retrieve that device and find out who tried to steal it.
But listen, Kel, when he's sent out on deployment, we're getting some old tech brought back, Kel. He's got his Lotus from The Spy Who Loved Me. His white submarine sports car is back.
Or at least it is a Lotus. I'm not sure if it's actually the same car.
It's supposed to be the same car.
Well, F then, Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he gets the red one.
But yeah, so they've tracked who killed, because the family that was murdered, the dad was like a spy for MI6, or like an informant anyway.
Yeah.
So they've tracked his killer, a guy called Hector Gonzalez. I don't know why I noted that down. I thought it might be important.
Yeah, I didn't even note that down.
But Bond goes up to his mansion and he has a pool full of bikini ladies because, of course.
Of course he does, yeah.
And wouldn't you know, Nathan? Bond is walking for 5 seconds and immediately gets jumped and captured.
Yeah, he's a bad spy. Bad spy.
I have to say this too, and I mean I don't have to, but I'm going to. Moore is starting to show his age in this movie, I think. He's starting to look like a man in his 50s.
Personally, I've said that since The Spy Who Loved Me because of his fashion, you know?
I think in this one it really hit me.
Alright, okay. I mean, I think he looked a lot better in Moonraker.
Particularly because of some stuff that happens later in the movie.
Right,
but,
okay. Well, I note here when the guy jumps off the diving board and gets shot with the crossbow. I think that's
crossbow.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a nasty diving board kill, you know, because he goes down and everyone's like, "Oh yay!" Clap, 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 and then he just doesn't come back up, and everyone starts screaming. And then Bond starts fighting off all the goons with a parasol, you know. And then he
Mary Poppins jumps off of a building.
I say he's playing Fortnite. Because this is how you drop off the battle bus in Fortnite if you've got a victory.
See, I was going more retro and classical with the Mary Poppins reference.
I'm trying to get the youth into the show. You know,
the TikTok generation.
Yeah, you can now hashtag this episode Fortnite.
You know, hashtag Fortnite. Hashtag Mary Poppins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hashtag Victory Royale. Yeah. Now,
it's weird because this is like the goofiest thing that happens in the movie. Nothing else like this silly. This is not nearly as silly a movie as Moonraker.
No, this is quite a serious, somber film. I think this has kind of got vibes of From Russia with Love. In terms of it's not. I think this is not a camp film. Basically, is what I'm saying.
No, except for the moment where he jumps off a building like Mary Poppins. Yeah.
Yes, but this is the one moment, like you say. You know.
I do. Okay, yeah. So he discovers that the person with the crossbow is Melina.
Yes.
Vengeful. Was it Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned? That's basically her whole character.
Yeah, she's on a mission, Kyle.
She's on a mission of revenge because her family was murdered.
And she isn't going to crumble to Bond's manly, attitude and wiles,
Uh-huh. But no, they run back to Bond's Lotus and there's some goons trying to break into it and one of them bashes in the window and then the car immediately explodes.
Brilliant self-destruct mechanism there. Actually,
I think that one's your fault for losing the gadget that time.
Personally, I think Hugh done this to kill Bond.
In case Bond is like, well, I know Bond, he's going to smash in my windows. I'm not going to let him. And it's like, oh, it'll be a terrible accident.
Yeah, exactly. Bond will be trying to get away from the bad guys when he breaks out from somewhere sometime, but he won't have time to get his keys and stuff. And he'll have to smash
I'm just going to smash in the window. Yeah.
And then Q will finally be free of this menace. Yeah. Oh, that's so tragic that Bond died. And he's rubbing his hands together. Yeah. He's like, yes, brilliant. Finally.
But I do like, because he turns to Melina and says, well, I hope you have a car.
Yeah, and she's got
just throws his keys on the ground.
And she does have a car, Kel. She's got a little yellow Volkswagen Beetle type car.
I don't think it is a Volkswagen Beetle, but it's that sort of car.
Yeah, that sort
like a
of
little
car.
Piece of crap.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And they're driving down through these Greek island town, and he tells Milana to take the low road, and then she does, and flips the car. And Bond says, not that low. It's just brilliant.
But Nathan, it's okay, because the whole town bands together to help them get their car moving again. So,
They do. This is Greek spirit here, Kyle,
Absolutely. There is a moment here too where they're driving down like the sort of twisty road down the hill and kind of cutting across it, and he says, well, I love driving the country, don't you?
Absolutely.
But I like that because she laughs, and that's so rare for a Bond quip that someone actually acknowledges that he's made a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're soon going to be meeting up with Q, who I think is just a complete sourpuss in this film.
As opposed to usual?
No, not as opposed to usual, but like sometimes I agree with him. And this time I actually think Bond's very funny in this film. in these moments, And I just think that, Q should go over himself and join in. The film does at this point decide to acknowledge, because we do jump back to, Q branch, that there is a female Prime Minister. They mention the Prime Minister and they mention her as a her,
Who could it be? It's such a mystery.
Who could it be?
This is a fictional movie, so we couldn't assume anything.
Yeah, female Prime Minister, it must be a work of fiction. back then, But yeah, so we see some Q brand shenanigans going on in the background, and
As per usual.
As
What
per
do we have?
always.
We have like a hand that explodes or something.
we have an umbrella that claws down and will cut you off at the neck. And Bond quips with stinging in the rain. And Q just grumbles, and I laughed actually. So I've said this is because I think Q says that's not funny.
That's
007.
not funny. 007.
Yeah, and
it's in our intro.
Yeah, and I've mentioned here in my notes. Actually, Q, that is very funny. I quite like that. Stinging in the rain, very good. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's all great, well and good, but this is where we get introduced to the most ridiculous gadget that Q has ever made, which is, how do you even explain this? They have this device, which is like a ASCII drawing thing where you tweak dials until you make someone's perfect face, and then you print it out, and somehow it knows like their skin color.
A
and that they're
3D
wearing
printing
glasses.
Etch a Sketch type of a deal.
Yeah, it's insane. And then they can use that image that has just been described to reference all of the government files from every government,
Well, it's funny because
including the Mossad and the German police.
it's funny because when they're first picking out hair colours, you can clearly just see it's like they've cropped out the hair from an actual picture.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course,
Because this
yeah.
thing makes no sense.
Yeah, but then like they're at it for hours. Like they're really trying
Oh
to make
yeah,
this.
there was a transition cut, and then it's like all dark, and all the Q branch people have left.
Yeah, and they've taken their jackets off, and someone comes in to give them cups of tea and stuff like that, and he says, Q says he'll close up. But I wonder if the reason that they felt the need to do this transition is because back in the 80s, late 70s, they genuinely thought this is the future of how things are going to be done. No one knew how computers were going to pan out, you know? They thought this was cutting edge. And now we just look at it.
Yeah, you would have to do like a little etch-a-sketch where Bond explains things and Q slowly tweaks dials until it looks like the guy on the screen.
Yeah, we do get people that do artists' impressions today, you know, but they all thought, oh, it's going to be computers, baby, because everything's going the way of computers. You know, everything is a computer, famously.
But also, you do have the ability to make the nose into Pinocchio nose.
Yeah, big nose. Not that. A nose, not a banana Q. Yeah. That's what Bond says, yeah. Now in the background here we do see a red Lotus being worked on, so I'm quite happy to confirm that Bond will be keeping his Lotus credentials intact. No
Yes.
Aston Martins, all Lotuses.
No, it's not. But Lotus is also a British company, so,
Yes,
you know,
yeah, true.
we're keeping it British.
We are keeping it truly British, indeed. And then this is where we get Tanner, and he's, you know, giving orders to everyone, and this is what's going to be happening. And I'm saying that I'm struggling to suspend my disbelief. Because it's just ridiculous that Mem's Lackey would ever give Bond orders. It's cheeky.
But unfortunately, Nathan, Bond is going to the mountains.
He's been
with
sent
his
to the
skis.
Italian Alps, Kyle.
Yep, the Alps. Yep, with his skis.
Oh,
so you know what that means. You know, as soon as you see the snow, you're like, oh damn it, we're doing another freaking skiing action
I've never
sequence.
noticed how much skiing is in the Bond franchise, honestly.
I've been keeping. This is our third big skiing action sequence, I believe.
Yeah. Now, Honor Majesty's Secret Service has really done its damage because skiing always makes me scared. You know?
Uh-huh.
But
I mean,
Bond
this is
needs-
another skiing action sequence for the ages, but we're not quite there yet.
No,
but
Bond needs to go meet with his contact there at the top of the ski resort called Luigi.
Luigi, yes.
And
lovely little man.
You know,
Yes.
I say in my notes here, he seems too pure for this line of business. You know? And
He's very helpful.
when Bond's later on walking around the town and all that, you know, he sees Melania. I'm just like, he runs into a flower shop and he's, you know, he wants some tulips because he feels pressure to get something because he's like hiding out in the store or something.
Yeah. I think this is after he meets up with Christatos, based on my notes.
You jump into that then. I must have not noted this down.
Yeah, so Luigi puts him into contact with a man called Aristotle Christatos, a very normal and upstanding businessman who happens to look like the villain from The Last Crusade.
It's an Assassin's Creed name if I ever heard one, you know?
Aristotle Christatos, it's amazing, I love it.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you know, you mentioned Last Crusade, you're not wrong.
No, yeah, it's the same guy, playing basically the same character.
Yeah. He's also Grand Maester
Except
Pycelle
Walter
in Game
Donovan
of
was
Thrones.
American, but
Yeah, well,
yeah.
can't win them all.
But yeah. But he's not pretending to be evil at the moment. He is like sort of, I don't know what his cover is. I think they mentioned that he used to be like a spy or something.
He's some sort of, because I've got in my notes later on, He is some sort of former spy. He's like a fixer.
Yeah. He's like a government fixer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like your on-ground producer if you're going to another country.
And yeah, he says that the man Bond is looking for is a Greek crime boss called Milos Colombo, whose crimes include smuggling, drugs, white slavery, and contract murder. And Nathan, why'd you gotta specify that it's white slavery?
You just gotta bring it up, Kyle. It's just very relevant because we're in the Mediterranean, right? Okay.
Right, yeah, because if it was black slavery, that'd be one thing, but this is white slavery, you know?
It's to say that he's doing it to affluent people, you know? He has power.
Right, okay.
You know?
But this is also when we meet his, Christoph's, ward?
Niece, I think?
Niece? Yeah, it's like, he is sponsoring her Olympic,
Winter
things.
Olympics, yeah. So this is BB.
BB Doll.
BB, I don't even know her surname, but yeah.
Yeah, her full name is BB Dahl, as in Dahl.
Yeah.
And Nathan, is this the worst character in the movie?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, actually. I looked up her age, by the way, and we don't have a confirmed age for this actor.
Really? Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I wonder how old she was. She like 18 or 19 when they made this? God.
I hope so. I hope she wasn't an actual teenager.
No, I don't think she was an actual teenager, right? But Bond's 50 and this person's 18.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she looks so young.
She looks exceptionally young, yeah. And she's so bubbly and bouncy and just loving, full of life. And then Christatos is like, you're not going to this triathlon with skiing and shooting later on. You know, I'm busy.
Uh-huh.
And then I don't.
Well, yeah, she's like an ice skating person, and he's sponsoring her her application to the Olympics to become an ice skating world champion for America, I assume.
And then she's like, "Well, could Mr. Bond not take me?" Because for some reason she's completely smitten with Bond. Bond's not said 2 words to her. Even Bond recognises this is wrong.
Bond's not said 2 words to her. He's clearly old enough to be her dad.
Granddad, possibly. So Bond kind of agrees, and then this is where we kind of go back down to the town, don't we?
Yes. This is where we go into the town and he sees Melina.
Yes, and then he hides in the flower shop and he sees some goons hunting her down.
Goons on motorbikes, yeah.
And then he decides to intervene. And then one of the goons goes flying back into that flower shop Bond was hiding in, and he says to the lady, "Send those lilies to the funeral, will you?"
Well, yeah, the lady's like, "Oh my god, what just happened?" And she's like, nervously hands him the flowers, like, you can just have these, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, he says, send them to the funeral, yeah.
Send them to the funeral.
And then Bond is being very pushy with Melina. Like, forces her into a sleigh back to the airport, like, you're not coming along on this adventure, I swear it.
Yeah, you're out for revenge, you don't have actual training, I, though, am professionally detached and can do the job. This is for your safety. Bond actively trying to not sleep with women.
I know, it's very restrained of him.
Very restrained.
He doesn't sleep with Melina until the very last shot of the movie.
It's crazy, right?
I know, what restraint.
This is where we cut back to his hotel, right?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And he comes in and someone's been in his room, Kyle, and it's who's in his room? And then, shock, horror, surprise, BB comes out of the shower.
In a towel and nothing else.
A towel, and she gets under the covers and takes the towel off.
And she's...
And she's just been like, "Oh, why don't you come and show me, how... Basically show me how to have sex. Show me this."
Yeah, sort of, like... Yeah. And thank God, Bond immediately says no. Yeah,
Bond knows this is wrong. Completely wrong.
Like, the fact that it's in the movie at all is bizarre, but at least they didn't have Bond be into it.
Oh yeah, because BB's so into it and Bond's just not into it at all. He says, "You put your clothes on and I'll buy you an ice cream."
Yeah, he's talking to her like she's a child, yeah.
It's a really uncomfortable, why bother,
I mean, then she does try and force herself on Bond and smidges him, and Murray's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
It's like, taking it back.
Yeah, this isn't in the script. This really does speak to, people talk about products of their time. This is, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And It's clearly a product of its time, because the film's self-aware enough to know that Bond should have a problem with this, but society, when they were making the film, isn't self-aware enough to not do it.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's well, as long as the character's not into it, we can still put it into the movie.
Yeah,
right?
they want to have their cake and eat it.
Some people are into that, Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just so bizarre, absolutely so bizarre. But good for Bond, good for Roger Moore for not caving to this. So I was kind of wondering at this point if BB was some sort of enemy agent, because this is just some crazy life choices.
I think we can only conclude that BB is just insane.
I think she is insane.
That's unfortunately the only conclusion that can be drawn, because now he has to escort her up to this thing because he agreed to it and he's a man of honor, I guess. He's like her chaperone.
Yeah, Bond is a man of honor, and we see some East German skiing people that are very, very good at their skiing malarkey.
Yeah, they're doing like a skiing, shooting triathlon thing.
Yeah.
I think this is a real sport.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is too much of film tourism to not be real,
Yeah. But BB has the hots for this East German man of some variety.
He's a really good shooter. He's blonde, he got blue eyes. He's a real Aryan. And,
he does look like a professional skier, to be fair to him.
Well,
it's good casting on that
He's
front.
Also a murderer because he wants to kill Bond, doesn't he?
Yes, well, as we learn, because Bond starts to go back down the mountain, he rips off his athlete's number, which is how you know he's actually an evil good.
Yeah. He's no longer doing it for the love of the game, He's doing it because he's being paid.
Before he leaves BB, though, Bond does say to BB, "Don't grow up. The opposite sex would never survive it." What do you mean, Bond? What do you mean by that?
I think, because as she becomes older, it would become more acceptable for people to take interest in her, and she would just be too much for any man to handle.
I guess that's it, yeah. It's just a strange thing to leave it on Bond.
Yeah, it is strange, but we'll see her again later on, won't we? This is where we're introduced via elevator and ski lift to the one and only Charles Dance.
Oh my, Charles Dance is in this fucking movie!
Hello, his name's Klaus in this movie.
I mean, you would never know that because he doesn't have a single line of dialogue. He just stands there looking menacing.
Very
what
menacing.
A crazy pull.
Yeah, I had no idea he was in this, and I was like, oh my god, it's Charles Dance.
Yeah. Oh, it's instantly, as soon as you see him, you're like, that's Charles Dance. What's he doing in this movie?
Something really strange happened when I was taking notes for this, not too long before he shows up. I think it might have been somebody in MI6 or somebody. I thought they were Charles Dance. And I didn't know he was actually in the movie. And I was looking at the filmography and stuff, and I was like, okay, that's not Charles Dance. Of course it's not Charles Dance. But then as the whole film's filmography came up, I know it was Charles Dance. I'm like, holy shit, he is in this movie, though. And then when he showed up, I kind of it spoiled for me a little bit, but I had no clue.
No, I had no idea. So you just see him, and you're like, is that Charles Dance?
You make this movie at a different point in this man's career, he would be the main villain.
Oh, he is a shoo-in for a Bond villain.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that he's never been one.
Yeah, right? And this is just some goon.
Yeah, some no lines good, just Charles Dance, the epitome of British evil gentleman.
Yeah, he's
playing a random thug.
Tywin Lannister,
Yeah, Tywin Lannister is a random street thug in this movie.
So unexpected. I do know during the ski sequence that we're about to break into, because we get some competitive slope skiing, where you shoot down the slope in an upper ramp and then you go to stick landing.
Yes, this skiing sequence is split into chunks. So there's a part where he's going through the forest and then he skis into a group. That's when we get stuck in the elevator, and then he gets into this contest where he has to do a jump. Yeah.
This is, I think, probably some of the best skiing we've had in the franchise so far.
Sure, yes, it's a sliding scale, but I suppose this is the best skiing action sequence of the three we've had so far.
Very little rear screen projection, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Then we end up in a bobsled track, Kel, and I remember what happened last time. Bond ended up on a bobsled track, This didn't end well for anyone. And
at this point, he's being chased by a guy on a motorbike.
Yes, he is.
There's a funny bit where the guy is on the bobsled, look back and what the hell's happening back there? And Bond's just like, no, keep going, I've got this.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Bond's able to beat all these goons, right? And we end up back with BB and Christatus. And they're on some sort of hockey stadium ice rink, and they're just talking about general stuff of what's happened. And BB's in the background
Yeah,
with
he
her
says
matron lady.
What took you so long, Bond? Oh, I took the scenic route.
Yeah, right.
Classic Bond.
Classic
quips,
Bond quips. And then BB and Christatos and her like trainer lady, the three of them leave.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah.
hockey players come onto the rink, three of them.
This is bizarre.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is bizarre.
Because at first you're like, okay, I guess this is their turn to borrow the rink. They've rented it to do some hockey practice or whatever, right?
Uh-huh. And then
But then they just start attacking
they
Bond.
just start attacking Bond, yeah. And like Bond's not wearing ice skates or anything like that, he's just in good grip boots. And they're all
Yeah.
sliding around and Bond's, Bond doesn't need any skates. And he knocks them all into the hockey goalposts with each hit. And
Yes.
it makes the score noise.
And every time
And
Uh-huh.
I've just noted here, Bond 3, Guns nil,
He hits one of them with a Zamponi, which takes a lot of effort because those things are not very fast.
Yeah. Made fun of many future times in pop culture, including Austin Powers.
Yes. Including Austin Powers.
And Deadpool, and, lots of places.
But yeah, unfortunately, as he was stuck in this, Luigi did get murdered in his car.
F. Luigi, everyone.
So, F. Luigi.
Yeah, a white dove is left in his hand. It's the calling card of a hitman.
It's the calling card of
Specky Man.
Milos Colombo, I believe, right?
Is it?
I think that is the symbol of Colombo, but the hitman guy planted it there as like a red herring.
Right, okay, I see. I'm with you.
So yeah, Bond has his target. He's going back to Greece to find Colombo.
We're going to Corfu.
To Corfu?
Yeah, we're going to Corfu.
You've been to Corfu?
I have been to Corfu. Corfu's a lovely place. This is where I boarded my cruise around, the Ionian Sea and the Aegean. It was a gorgeous part of the world. It's in the west coast. Lovely place.
I've only been there in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so...
Very recent.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's a lovely place. I didn't quite get to see it in the depth that he does because I'm kind of, getting on and off ships and going to airports and stuff. But it's very, very nice. I have been through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, Greece, if you haven't picked it, is our tourism of the movie.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely is. This is our tourism week. I'm going to be kind of sad when these films start going away from film tourism. Because in one part of me is like, it'll make a better film without it. But the other part of me is like, oh, we have less to talk about.
Yeah, we spend like 2 full minutes just admiring some underwater Greek ruins in this movie.
Yes, gorgeous. I don't even know if these are real, but it's spectacular.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea. I kind of assume it's a sound stage or whatever for most of the underwater stuff.
She's using like a underwater vacuum cleaner to get rid of like the sand so she can look at the tiles without like damaging them with like a shovel or anything like that. It's really clever, actually. I presume this is the tourism of this is how you do preserve underwater ruins and stuff,
Yeah, probably. I mean, we also get the classic tourism if we see some people out in the streets dancing because it's a Bond movie.
Oh, of course. Street entertainment is the whole reason you do anything back in the 70s and 80s. Oh, I forgot to completely mention... Oh, no, wait, sorry. You can cut this. I'm reading my notes out of order here. We'll get back around to it.
Yeah, no. So at this point, Bond goes to a casino where he plays poker with a man with a lazy eye who's not a character in this movie. He's just sort of there.
Yes.
I assumed this would be a character in the movie because, like, it's a very specific Bond villain kind of detail, but no. Just a thing. This guy has a lazy eye.
This is where we meet the Countess.
We meet the Countess, yes, who works for Colombo.
And she has a husband, the Count. Who's the Count?
I don't know.
I think we do
think we ever meet the Count.
I think we do see him in the film, but he's just not of anyone of any consequence. Because Bond ends up wearing his jammies.
Yes, he does. Yeah, so, Bond sits down with Christatos, and Christatos says, that guy over there, that's Colombo. That's who you're looking for.
Yep.
But Colombo was also listening to that conversation, because he has, I guess he has every single table in the restaurant taped? I don't know.
Presumably.
Yeah. So he knows that Bond is maybe going to kill him, so he sends the Countess off to, cause a distraction and figure out more about him. I'm sure the Countess has a name. I can't remember what it is. We're just going to call her the Countess.
Her name is Alyssel, the Countess von Schaff.
I see.
She is Colombo's mistress.
I wanted to give credit to this because she seems more ages with Roger Moore than your typical Bond girl.
Oh yeah.
She looks like a woman at least in her 40s, which is, nice.
Oh yeah, for real. Absolutely, I agree.
Because Melina seems way younger than Moore in this movie. She's 20s, probably. early 30s?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so the actress was only born in 1957.
Right, okay, so yeah.
Yeah. And for reference, Roger Moore was born in 1927.
Roger Moore lived through World War II.
Yeah, he did. A lot of people did back in this era, you know?
Yeah, no, it's just a strange thing to think about, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. It is.
But yeah, so yeah, Bond seduces the Countess. I mean, I guess it's a mutual seduction, I suppose. It turns out that the Countess is actually from England. She's from Liverpool.
Yeah,
she has a very strong Liverpool
Yeah,
accent.
so she kind of brings it out very briefly, yeah, which is interesting considering the actress is from Australia.
Yeah, strange character detail, but I like a strange character detail.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then some goons and dune buggies show up.
Oh, they do, and
including our good friend Klaus.
Including our good friend Klaus, yeah. And this is quite a tense fight, because I just assumed everyone's going to make it out safe. And I guess the Countess doesn't die, but the film certainly makes you think that she dies.
I thought she died.
Does she not show up in the third act, in the fight at the complex?
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of the trainer lady.
I must be. Oh well, egg in my face.
Oh yeah, the Countess gets hit by a dune buggy and dies in a quite brutal way.
I have a fun bit of trivia about the Countess.
Oh, please do tell.
So Cassandra Harris, the Australian, at the time of filming this film, Kyle, was married to future Bond actor Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, that's an exciting detail.
Yeah. The couple lunched with Albert Cubby Broccoli during the filming of this film.
How do the ages line up on that at all? Okay, that's...
Well, so Cassandra Harris was born in 1948 and Pierce Brosnan was born 1953. Not that different.
Okay, I guess, yeah, that's not that different.
Yeah.
I guess I was assuming she was closer to age to Roger Moore than she actually is.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Yeah, apparently not. I feel bad for saying she looks like she's in her 40s.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this actor did tragically die in 1991.
I see, okay. Well, speaking of tragic deaths, we do lose Charles Dance in this scene.
Yeah, so
He gets murdered by Bond.
In my notes here, I've got hello again, Charles Dance, and this is where I decided to note his name is Klaus. And my very next note was F. Charles Dance, his name was Klaus.
Oh, that must be our craziest cameo in any of these movies so far, is Charles Dance.
It's a big
right?
before they were famous moment, right?
Yeah, this has to be the biggest one. I know you keep bringing up the mobster from Star Trek, but this is a bigger deal than
Yeah,
that.
this is much to my upset. Yes, I guess it must be a bigger deal.
But yes, Bond once again gets captured because the goons that kill the Countess aren't actually from Colombo. They don't work for Colombo. They work for Christatos, but we don't know that yet.
Yes, correct.
There's two sets of goons here. There's the goons that Bond fights off, and then another set of goons comes and picks up Bond. I can't remember his... because Christatos, he has a main goon. I think his name is Cross, or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. We should note, by the way, Columbo. He's played by T'Pol, who is the famous Fiddler on the Roof man, Israeli actor. He's the If I Was a Rich Man. Yeah, that guy. This is him.
I like him in this movie.
Yeah, I think he's good in this film as well. Yeah, very good.
I think, even though Columbo as a character is introduced quite late into it, I think he cements himself as a good role in this movie as being the sort of charismatic crime boss.
He's definitely your kind of bait and switch for who the villain's going to be.
Uh-huh.
Because you do go in thinking, oh right, is this supposed to be a villain of the piece?
Yeah.
Surprise!
No, it turns out they have a common enemy. It turns out it's the much more evil-looking man that we've been talking to through the whole movie.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Oh, yeah, who'd have thought? Not me.
I mean, Columbo is a crime boss, but I'm assuming he doesn't actually do white slavery. Maybe he does. Maybe Bond's fine with that. I don't know.
Who's the guy in Istanbul in Connery's era? You know, they're all the.
Oh God!
Remember that guy? Maybe he's just like another one of them.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he's just another one of them. Just like they're all spying on each other, and it's all fine.
There's also the guy on Her Majesty's Secret Service who's Tracy's dad.
Yeah. It's that guy.
He's
character.
also a crime boss, right? Yeah.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Bond ends up working with a lot of foreign crime bosses.
But they're not like going against British national interests, so it's fine.
Interests,
actually. Yeah.
yes.
We're doing a little bit of imperialism, Kyle. Here.
Just a little bit, yeah.
We go to a heroin plant in Albania, Kyle.
So yeah, Columbo explains that Christatos is actually the real bad guy, and somehow I think Columbo knows where the crashed ship is, because that's when we get back to this.
I'm shocked, by the way, that Christatos hasn't just gone down and got the ballistic missile decoder from the moment it sunk. Why is it still down there?
Well, okay. I think it's because they don't know how to deactivate the detonation device that will happen if you try and unplug it.
Okay.
But Bond does.
Okay.
I think that's what happens there.
Okay, because this was my question when I'm watching the film.
Yeah, so Bond, this is how we bring Melina back into it, because she also runs a diving company, apparently.
Yes, because Bond has to go see her, yeah. And this is where she's underwater ruins. I think it's all very pretty moment in the film, Kyle.
It's pretty. There's also a bizarre moment, which does come back later, where Melina underwater takes off her oxygen tank for no reason.
Yeah, it's the laziest Chekhov's oxygen container.
It really is. It's like, well, we need them to have an oxygen tank later in the movie, so I guess she just takes one off.
Maybe
here
it's to help
for
with
no
not
reason.
getting the bends or something like that when you come up, so she can surface quicker.
It seems awfully wasteful to just leave it down there.
She
though,
knows
right? Even if you're taking off for that reason, you could just take it with you.
She knows she'll be back or something. It gives her a reason to come back. But Kel, we've missed out going to the heroin plant in Albania, Kel. It's full of sea mines.
Oh, of course, yes. Because we do a raid with the I'm just going to say mafia. I don't know what the Greek word for crime syndicate is, but they're the Greek mafia.
Well, he chucks a guy out a window, doesn't he? He says he had no head for heights. He does get chucked out of a window, right? I think that's what happened.
No, I think his car falls off a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
This is Cross. By the way, Cross, I think, is an underrated, Bond goon. I think he has a really strong look and,
He's got the glasses and the bowl cut.
a sort of... The glasses and just a very, he always has this very serious face on, this is a professional killer.
Yeah, he does. I'll give you that. I just don't think he's got much personality, but he's very good at his job.
No, yeah, he's not a very gimmicky goon. He's just a very,
He ain't no Mr. Winton, Mr. Kid.
He ain't no Mr. Winton, Mr. Kid. He ain't no Jaws.
He definitely ain't no Jaws. I'm missing Jaws this week. I'm missing Jaws this week, and I'm missing a J.W. Pepper this week.
Unfortunately, Jaws is a good guy now, so
Jaws is redeemed. Yeah, Jaws is now 009 or something.
Jaws is he's off on his honeymoon with the pigtails lady.
the space shuttle that he got launched away on when the Moonraker space station blew up, he's been sent off into deep space.
He is MI6's man in space now, yeah.
He runs sword for Nick Fury's shield. Yeah.
Yeah, so Bond and Melina, they go down in a big submarine.
Yes, they do.
To, investigate this. And we get a lot into, the logistics of deep-sea diving in this movie.
Absolutely, we do. We do get into the deep... But it's not as boring as Thunderball, it's quite pretty.
No, it's more interest. And there's a lot more tension to it than there was in Thunderball. Thunderball, it all felt like kind of Aquaman. There's just magic infinite walkthrough down there.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like this movie does a much better job of selling that, being down here for too long is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, it does. This is the...
I think they say, we've got 8 minutes to do this before we'll start to suffocate.
This is the point where British tourists are starting to want to go scuba diving in Greece, and they're trying to... This actually is a very, very nicely hidden public service announcement. This is the danger of spending too much time underwater when you're scuba diving.
Yeah. I didn't bother timing it, but I'm pretty sure they're under there for longer than 8 minutes, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Darth Vader's down here.
I mean, you say Darth Vader, I say this is the prequel to BioShock.
Darth Vader, Jason Voorhees ass breathing going on underwater, Kyle. And then it is some big weird mech suit. It is quite BioShock.
Yeah, well... This is also Chekhov's weird deep-sea diving suit, because we do see one in the heroin plant, and Bond's like, oh, it's a deep-sea diving suit.
Oh, do we see it in the heroin plant? Right, I must have missed that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not the same one, because that one blows up, obviously, but it's just, establishing that these suits exist.
Yeah. Well, if Darth Vader Jason Voorhees Bioshock Man, because he isn't around much longer. They kind of like attach a bomb to his back when they're fighting.
Yeah. It's a very tense action sequence though, because like obviously, as I say, they really sell how dangerous underwater is. Bond gets a slash in his arm, and you see like the blood sort of in the water go everywhere.
Yeah, it's just
like,
piling out
bad.
of him.
Yeah.
Because it's rushing to fill the space. Yeah, absolutely.
But they manage to get back into their submarine, but then a little evil submarine comes to try and murder them.
And then they sort of ram it into the gash in the side of the sunken ship and jam it in there.
I don't quite know how they managed to do this, but I do think it's quite tense when the submarine is like piercing holes in their submarine and they can't like activate any of the controls. Yeah. It's pretty tense. I like it.
It's a good sequence. I'll give you that. Yeah, but they have successfully recovered the ATAC system, Kyle. I'm surprised they didn't just destroy it underwater. I don't know why they needed to surface it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point, Bond still wants to recover it for MI6.
Yeah, but if the protocol's to destroy it when the ship sinks, surely the British government... Maybe it's expensive to make a new one, and he's just trying to save the British government the cost of making a new one. But you could just destroy it and write it off, you know? The protocol of the sunken ship was to destroy it, so technically it should already be listed as destroyed. Mm-hmm. You know? But we get back to the surface, and there is Christatos.
Yeah. And once again, our traditional for every movie, the point where just shooting Bond. Just shoot Bond. You don't need to do this whole...
Let him sleep with the fishes.
Instead of shooting Bond, he does this whole thing where he ties them up to like behind the ship and drags them behind so they get caught up on the corals so that the sharks will be attracted to them and then the sharks will kill them. Just shoot them.
By the way, I do think the Bond films do a really good job with shark sequences. I always think they're quite scary, and I think in this film it's no different because the sharks are just swimming around rapidly and getting caught up in coral. I've swam over coral reefs and they are quite rigid. I would not enjoy being slapped by some coral reef at all. They're not spongy at all. By the way, I'm going to bring this up because someone who listens to the show will bring it up themselves. Christatos, played by Julian Glover, as mentioned, Donovan in Last Crusade and Grand Maester Pycelle in Game of Thrones. Also, General Veers in Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, that's how he got the role in Empire Strikes Back, I think.
It is indeed. The other way around. Empire Strikes Back is before Last Crusade.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He got Last Crusade because he was in Star
Wars.
Right,
okay. I just had to bring it up because this is the point in my notes where I'm listing everything he'd done when I'd watched the film. I just couldn't let it pass because we mentioned everything else.
Yeah. Setting aside that, just shoot him. I do like this action sequence too. There's a lot of like having to dive underwater and you've got limited time to try and break the ropes.
Yes.
There's a lot of really good tension in this movie, I think.
Yes, it is. Even though, like you could say, just shoot him and all that, this film is a lot more serious as a film and it does really good, tense things. It's quite suspenseful at times.
And yeah, this is why we established earlier that she leaves her oxygen tanks underwater so they can swim back to the ruin and get one.
Yes, because this is where my note I go, hey, she arbitrarily took that oxygen tank off earlier and the movie has paid off.
Yeah. But this is where Bond goes to a ministry to meet Q.
He goes for a confessional, and he goes to speak to a Greek Orthodox priest. And
who then takes off the wig and the beard, and it's
Q. Yeah, oh, Q, what are you doing? By the way, I should say, we're 20 years into this franchise, and Desmond Llewellyn is aging like nothing.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same. Yeah,
he's exactly the same. I think maybe when we first see him in Doctor No, he's got a little bit of dark in his hair, but that's gone by like from Russia with Love. And then he just looks the same going forward. I don't actually think we ever really see him age. I'm sure even by the time we get to Brosnan, he looks the same in Brosnan as he does now in this film. Oh, I just had to bring that up.
I can't even remember why he meets with Q. He just does.
Yeah, in my note, I've only got Q as a Greek Orthodox. That's quite a good Orthodox. That's a good disguise. And then
so do I, but I don't remember what they actually talk about.
A big rock climbing sequence that I got really bored watching. They're going up in the basket and they can't alert anyone.
Yeah, okay.
This is where the film kind of falls apart for me.
Yeah, the scene goes on. Yeah. This is the one scene where it's supposed to be tense, but you're just like, oh, I'm bored now. But yeah. So, one thing I do like is, so Christatos has, like, evil Bond lair. It's not like a traditional, like, underground lair. It's a monastery built on the top of a cliff.
Like the Hydra base from Age of Ultron.
It is, yeah. I like it. I think it's classy, you know?
It's very nice.
But yeah, so to get in, Bond has to climb up the mountain freehand with like little white hooks and stuff. But a good notices him, and then we spend like 10 minutes with this goon slowly knocking out the pillars. Will Bond climb up or will he fall to his death?
Who cares?
Yeah. Borg.
Yeah. Who cares?
But Nathan, there is a scene where Columbo, because he's brought along Columbo with his goons for this mission.
Has Bond's got back up here.
And he's like, well, we can't do this. We're only 5 men. But Melina says, and 1 woman. Oh, snap. This is feminism,
This is a
baby.
feminist film, actually.
She's come along with her crossbow.
This film follows the trend of being more progressive than the film that came before.
I mean, yes and no, I think.
We don't talk about BB.
We don't talk about BB. Also,
She is here, though. She is in this Hydra castle.
Yeah. I just feel like Melina's a little bit more cliche than Goodhead in the last movie.
God almighty. I've nothing to say about Miss Goodhead.
Oh. What a sliding sailor on. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Melina's fine. She doesn't really leave much of an impression to me. I don't think the actress is great, to be honest. She's a bit like one note as a character. She's always like very like grumpy, angry, serious face.
It's 'cause it's a serious movie, Kyle, and she's not here to sleep with Bond. I think actually she fits the tone of
Yeah,
this
I mean,
film
I guess she
quite
does.
well.
She does laugh at his joke at one
Yeah.
point, but you know.
Now, the Russians show up here. The general, what's his chops? Where's my note?
Gogol?
Yeah, General Gogol. He shows up here, and they're ready to like take Bond's attack device. But
Yeah, this is Christatos' entire plan. This is not like an abstract Bond villain plot or anything. He's just going to sell this thing for money.
yeah, he's going to sell it to the Russians so that they can get access to the ballistic missile devices and stuff.
Yeah, we're doing some more traditional Cold War stuff in this movie.
But Atoll shows up, or Gogol, Antol Gogol is his full name, and he's like, the Russians can't have it and the British can't have it because Bond just destroys it, which is what he should have done when it was sunken in the first place.
Yeah, okay. I do like how the scene plays out though, because like Gogol is coming up to him, and then Bond just hucks off a cliff.
Yeah.
And the Russians are like about to shoot him, and Gogol just stops him and is like, well played, you know, I can't do anything about that. I wasn't supposed to be here. This is how the game is played. And then just goes back to his helicopter and leaves.
Such a weird cameo. Or the introduction to the character.
I just kind of like it. I don't know. There's something very like classic Cold War about it. It's like, well, this is just spy stuff.
This is just spy shit doing spy shit. You destroyed
like,
it before I could get it.
you
I'm
went up-
not supposed to be here anyway. You're not really supposed to be here. That device isn't supposed to be here. It's a bigger issue if we cause shit. Let's just part ways.
Yeah.
It's like it's the epitome of it's nothing personal, you know.
Yeah, we didn't mention here because I assume you wanted to skip it. The BB is also at this.
I did
monastery.
mention BB is here a few minutes ago, but I have nothing to say about her.
I mean, Christatos slaps her at some point, like backhands her.
How does Christastos die
Because he's
here?
a bad guy. Well, okay, Bond beats him in a fight, and then Melina has him at crossbow point, and Bond is like, no, you can't do it, revenge, dig 2 graves and all this. But then Columbo just shoots him in the back.
Good old Columbo, that's what he's here for. He gets the job done.
He's here so that we have no moral complications.
No, he's here to just do it, and then everyone sides with him. Exactly.
It's like, well, it's a big deal if Melina shoots it because that's her crossing the line. You know, she's become a monster. If Columbo does it, that's just the one murder of many because he's a great boss.
Yeah, we like him, so it's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Melina is completely a respectable lady in this film. I think a little bit doer, but I think as is this film predominantly. Not camp at all.
Well, the weird thing is, obviously, it ends with them sleeping together. I really don't think they have any chemistry at all in this movie, as opposed as like they're not even really flirting with each other throughout this movie. She's just, I'm going to kill these people. That's my entire character.
Yeah, it's a bit like if Quantum of Solace has ended with Daniel Craig sleeping with the lady, as opposed to just kissing them.
Weren't people mad that it didn't end that way?
Were. That's because they want this, Kyle. They want this.
For your eyes only, darling.
Yeah, for your eyes only, darling. That's exactly what she says. And but we forgot to mention earlier on, Kyle, about Chekhov's parrot. Melina's dad had a parrot on the ship, and it would just say things. It was quite a yapper. And I thought,
because it's a movie parrot where they can just speak English.
And I thought it was going to drop some big exposition or like reveal a code word or something that it knew.
I think it does something like that at some point. I think it drops the name of the monastery.
Possibly.
Where they need to go.
Possibly. Well, at this point, they're sleeping with the parrot nearby. And
Bond has a radio in his watch.
And the Prime Minister wants to phone Bond to congratulate him on a job well done. And the parrot
Yeah, this
answers
is a great
the
honor
phone.
for MI6, yes. Well, Bond, he says, like, shh, don't say anything, and he puts his watch next to the parrot,
Yeah.
so that the parrot...
The parrot goes, hello, hello. And Jesus Christ, they have a Margaret Thatcher and Dennis Thatcher look-alike in this film. And it is
Oh my gosh.
brilliant.
It's so good, yeah, she looks exactly
Yeah.
like Margaret Thatcher. It's
Oh,
incredible.
how are you, Bond? How are you? Dennis, I'll get the phone.
Aye.
It's brilliant. A lady called Janet
It's
Brown
crazy.
played Margaret Thatcher for this, from the Carry On films.
And, like, this is a full-on, like, Thatcher parody also.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, she's from another one.
they're doing the classic, like, her husband is a whipped man thing.
Yes.
He's just stood there not saying anything. She thinks the Bond is flirting with her.
Yeah, because the parrot says, give us a kiss, and she's like, ooh, 007. Oh, yeah, that could be possibly. Oh. And Dennis is standing there just, like, eating an orange or something by the sink. Because this is some brilliant Margaret Thatcher propaganda, right? Because she's smitten by Bond, as British culture dictates all women should be. And she was always presented as being, like, the woman of the house, but still being PM. Like
Yes, like she's doing the
she's
cooking,
got-
but also she's in
she's
charge.
got the apron on. Yeah. So this is... I always thought that was kind of stories that were maybe told retrospectively about her. But this is concurrent. She only became PM in 79.
Yeah.
This is... you know what? I clapped. I cheered.
The fact that she's in this movie really shows you, like, the cultural power Thatcher had,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Because we didn't get any of the previous prime ministers in this series.
No, absolutely not. You know, we could no way. I can't even remember the PMs of the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. Some boring British
Where's
old guy, right? Probably.
where's Harold Macmillan? Yeah.
Everyone's favourite PM, Harold
Yeah,
Macmillan.
exactly.
Yeah, that's one for the history books.
Well, I love it because I thought this film kind of ended quite boring. I actually think that For Your Eyes Only has a really boring finish. I don't care about any of the castle shenanigans.
Yeah, the castle shenanigans aren't great. I like the castle, but the shenanigans aren't very exciting.
So the film really sort of woke me up again for this Margaret Thatcher moment, you know, where Bond's having sex and Margaret Thatcher's talking to a parrot.
I mean, it's also the same joke as the last two movies a third time, but this time it does have Margaret Thatcher in it.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Queen last
Yeah,
time.
they never got anyone to play the Queen.
Yeah, we didn't have the balls to put the Queen in the movie, yeah.
You do have the balls to put Margaret Thatcher in the movie. And the time before that, it was General Gaulle and M, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
that's Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah.
So, I don't know how we can escalate next. The President of America will bring in, who would be the President at this point?
Oh, in the
We're getting to Reagan
this
era,
is
right?
Reagan. We're firmly in Reagan. Yeah.
Yeah. We could get Reagan, he's an actor.
Get Ronald Reagan himself to play himself, yeah. Well, okay, we get hit with the title card here that James Bond will return in Octopussy.
Octopussy, baby.
What a name. I have seen nothing of Octopussy, I don't think.
I think I have seen Octopussy, but I remember very little about it.
I've seen like the opening to For Your Eyes Only and stuff before, but I wasn't really familiar with the ins and outs of it. Firmly, though, not seen any of Octopussy, I don't think. Maybe clips as the film, as I watch it, but at the moment, nothing.
Yeah, I think overall, I think this is a fairly, like, solid entry. Overall, I mean, as you say, the finale kind of drags a bit, but I think there's some good action in this movie. I like some of the character work. I think this is okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's not a fun Bond movie, because you could say like Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker. I know they're just remakes of, you know, each other, I suppose, but they're kind of fun if silly. This movie's quite serious, and I would also say a tad boring at times. I don't mean this. I
would describe it as like a middle of the pack Bond movie. It's not amazing. It's not terrible either. But I think it's got some good stuff in it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. there completely. Well, Kyle, that's us at the end of For Your Eyes Only. Both have interesting views on this film. We're thinking it's a little bit serious, a little bit boring, a little bit middle of the pack. But where can the people find you online?
The people can find me at Kyle the Scot on YouTube.com, where I do video essays and game critiques. I'm almost done with Assassin's Creed. My next video is an Assassin's Creed. I'm taking a little break to talk about something else for my own sanity. But That's where you can find me. I'm also on Blue Sky sometimes. Nathan, where can the people find
People
you?
can find me online, as always, on all good social media hosting services such as Threads and Blue Sky and Twitter and Mastodon. Rarely, but sometimes. You can still follow me. And also I'm in Kyle's comment section from time to time. Ladies and gentlemen, you can check out our entire back catalogue of Enter the BondVerse on this channel, on this podcast feed, wherever you listen to this show. We also done Enter the X-Verse, where we went through all previous movies in the Bond, and the Fox, X-Men universe, everything from Deadpool to X-Men to the Fantastic Four, all there. And then we have a back catalogue generally for Name Not Included you can also listen to. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we will see you next week for Octopussy.